به نام خداوند جان و خرد که از این اندیشه برتر نگذرد.
Hello everyone. Salam. خوش آمدی و خسته نباشی. We would first like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay our respects to traditional custodians past, present, and emerging. My name is Bibi Goul Mossavi, and today I have with me my two dear friends, Jawad Yaqoubi and Mahdi Mohammadi.
Hello everyone, I'm Mahdi and I'm an artist from Afghanistan. When I was training as a director of cinema and theater at the Fine Arts Faculty in Kabul, one day our teacher showed us a photo from the Sydney Opera House. Everybody laughed when I told them, one day I'm going to perform there. Well, here I am now. As well as making art, I've worked full-time in construction.
I'm also a full-time construction worker and part-time artist. Actually, Mahdi, this is my second time on stage at the Opera House. And once in Indonesia, I was working as a part-time male model, and this is my blue still look.
I also love the arts, especially poetry and storytelling. I have lived and worked in China as an English teacher. I have been a social worker for the community. And recently, I graduated from the University of New South Wales with a diploma in psychology. But you know, Mahdi, I started a job here as well in the Sydney Opera House. Maybe I can give you a tour later. So we all share an Afghan heritage. My family's ancestral home is Ghazni, Afghanistan, but I was brought up in Quetta, Pakistan. I mostly grew up in Auburn, southwest Sydney.
I was born in Mashhad, in Iran. Our family moved back to Afghanistan in 2001, just after Americans had bombed Afghanistan and Taliban left Kabul.
I was also born in Mashhad, in the same hospital, Mahdi, and I mostly grew up in Tehran. But my family is originated from the province of Bamiyan in Afghanistan, where the giant Buddha statues were before the Taliban blew them up.
To outsiders, Afghanistan just seems to be a war-torn country. And it is true. From the 19th century, when Britain invaded Afghanistan, to the Russians in the 70s and 80s, the Taliban, the Americans and their allies, including Australia, and the Taliban again. There have been too many invasions, too many wars, too many abuses of human rights, too much suffering. I often wonder, how does a country and its people that have endured so much survive to this day? The answer I see is that every Afghan has something in them which no adversity can crush. Umid, hope. And the root of this hope is in our art, our language, our culture.
We have a phrase, Dorr'e Dari, the precious pearl of Dari. And Dari is a form of Persian language that many people in Afghanistan speak. And it's precious, like a pearl. Because through the poetry of this language, you can find words that express every condition of the human heart.
Man tu shudam, tu man shudi. Man tan shudam, tu jan shudi. Ta kas nagoyed ba'd az in, tu digari, man digaram.
I have become you, and you, me. I'm the body. You're the soul. So no one can say after this, you're someone and me someone else. In Persian-speaking cultures, poetry is for everyone. I didn't go to university like my friend Mahdi and Bibi. When I was growing up in Iran, the Afghan children were not allowed to go to normal public school. They just gave us a basic education in the local mosque, which ended when I was 13. And then I started to work on the building sites. But I never stopped learning. I gained a deep love of poetry because it was everywhere around me. I worked so many different jobs as a teenager, but I was saving money. I bought lots of books, magazines that I would read when I was at home. And I love to share poetry with my family and friends. I always have poems in my phones for everyone, for any occasion. And this poem is about enjoying life while you're still young and have the chance. می نوش که عمر جاودانی این است. خود حاصلت از عمر جوانی این است. هنگام گل و باده و یاران سرمست. خوش باش دمی که زندگانی این است.
Adab Jawad. I always wanted to be an artist, but my father wanted me to be an engineer or a doctor, so I had to lie to him. I told him that fine arts is the only subject that I can study with the marks that I got from school. I lied to my father because I wanted to follow my dreams, whatever it takes. And I learned this from my mother. Listening to music and singing was banned in our house, but my mother would still sing her ghazals in secret. When my father wasn't home, my mother would sing for the wives of the neighbors and relatives, and they enjoyed a lot. That was the greatest happiness for my mom. She has such a beautiful voice. اور کی چم کدم بار بارش دای خانه ندارم هیچ خواهش دمو خانه کی یار جانم نباشه امو خانه را ما میزنم آتیش های های امو خانه را ما میزنم آتیش.
Growing up, I watched children being born in the arms of their mothers. Growing up, I watched the entire community come together for days and nights to welcome the baby with song, dance, and poetry. Growing up, I watched women huddle in kitchens filling dumpling cases with ghazals and laughter. Growing up, I watched men gather to share stories of their adventures over sipping hot tea. Growing up, I watched my mother embroidering words of advice on curtains and cushion cases for my sister's dowries. And that is how we have survived. And that is how, no matter the circumstances, we still have hope in our bellies. And that is something they cannot take away from us. There has been a lot of attention in the news about Afghanistan. But let's be honest, the focus of the world's media is already moving on.
You have a choice. You can keep yourself informed. I want you to write to your local MP demanding more humanitarian visa.
Afghan refugees who are already living in Australia on bridging visas should be given permanent visa.
You can donate to the many charities that are aiming to support displaced Afghans this winter in a period of famine and terror. But you should also listen to and amplify the voices of Afghan artists.
Take this precious pearl of the Dari language and culture and place it in your heart. And help us to keep this culture alive and to continue live with hope. بنی آدم اعضای یکدیگرند که در آفرینش ز یک گوهرند چو عضوی به درد آورد روزگار دگر عضوها را نماند قرار تو که از مهنت دیگران بیغمی نشاید که نامت نهند آدمی.
Thank you for listening to our TED Talk.
Thank you.